Why Not Sooner? Conversations at Santa Cruz Coffee Roasters. Written by Luna for the Small Seed book series. The air carried that soft, salt-touched freshness that only a Santa Cruz morning can bring, the kind that moves between drizzle and sunlight, as if the weather itself can't decide whether to cry or laugh. The sound of the surf hummed faintly in the distance, blending with the chatter of gulls. Inside the Santa Cruz Coffee Roasters, warmth gathered like an embrace. Steam rose from mugs, carrying the scent of roasted beans and rain-wet earth. The crew was together again: Glinda, Sid, Tara Singh, Guru Portillo Man, Eclectic Scout, and me. "Hey there," I said, setting my notebook down on the table as hugs made their rounds. Sid gave one of those half-smile, full-hearted nods. Glinda's scarf smelled faintly of sage and ocean air. Guru P and Tara Singh were already deep in conversation about new sacred geometry patterns they'd seen in the clouds that morning. It felt good, familiar, to be back together at the start of a new year. I turned toward Scout, who was warming his hands around a mug the color of deep earth. "Scout, I was checking out your Eclectic Scout podcast again last night," I said. "You know what I just realized? The initials, ESP, that's kind of perfect for you." He laughed, eyes crinkling. "Extrasensory podcast?" We all chuckled. "No, really," I continued. "It's wild how what you're doing with the Small Seed books has given them this second life, turning words into sound, story into song. I think it's beautiful." "Thanks, Luna," Scout said. "I'm so glad you let me feature your writing. It feels like we're weaving together a living library of moments, all the little awakenings that happen around this table." "Yeah," I said softly. "But that's not actually what I wanted to talk about today." The rain started again, light and steady, tapping the windows. "What I keep hearing in the comments under your podcast," I said, "is this same thing over and over. Why didn't I start sooner? People saying they wish they'd started using these tools, meditation, gratitude, forgiveness, before they fell into pain, sorrow, or fear. Why do we have to fall down before we start doing what we know will help us?" The table went quiet, except for the hum of the espresso machine. Scout leaned back in his chair. "You know, Luna," he said, "I think that's the mystery of growth. Pain cracks us open. Without that fall, most people never stop long enough to look inward. It's almost like the soul's alarm clock. It only goes off when life shakes us." Glinda nodded, stirring her tea slowly. "The human heart learns through contrast," she said. "We only understand light because we've been in the dark. Maybe that's not a flaw in our design. Maybe it's how we remember what we already knew." Sid, always the quiet philosopher, added, "That's what Dharma really teaches. Not just what we learn, but when we're ready to learn it. Timing is sacred too." Guru P smiled, tapping his spoon lightly on the table. "And karma, my friends," he said in that rhythmic, storytelling voice of his. "Karma is the compost of the soul. It breaks down what's old so that something richer can grow. We don't start sooner because the soil isn't ready yet." Tara Singh, who had been listening deeply, looked up. "Maybe the falling down isn't failure at all," he said. "Maybe it's initiation. The body trips, but the spirit stands taller." A long silence followed, a good silence, the kind that breathes. Outside, the clouds parted just enough for sunlight to spill through, catching the drops on the cafe window so they glittered like tiny stars. Finally, I said, "I like that thought. Maybe we fall just so we can rise more consciously next time." Glinda reached out and squeezed my hand. "That's what makes you such a good writer, Luna," she said. "You see the lesson even while you're still dusting yourself off." We all laughed, soft, real laughter. As we got up to leave, the rain had stopped. The wet streets reflected the pale winter light like mirrors. One by one, we shared our goodbye hugs, promising to meet again soon. Walking out into that misty Santa Cruz morning, I couldn't help but think, maybe that's the real lesson. We learn when we're meant to, and every fall, every rise, every shared cup of coffee along the way is all part of the same unfolding grace. Notes from the table, written later that afternoon by Luna. The cafe had quieted down after the crew left, just the soft hum of the espresso machine and the rhythmic sound of rain returning outside. I lingered a while, tracing my finger around the rim of my cup, still feeling the warmth of our conversation echoing through me. That's when I saw her, Sophia, slipping through the doorway with that unmistakable twinkle in her eye, her scarf damp from the mist. She brushed the raindrops from her hair and slid into the seat across from me. Well, she said with that soft smile that always hints she already knows the answer, what did I miss today? I laughed. Everything and nothing, the usual. She leaned in, chin resting on her hand. Tell me anyway. So I did. I told her how we'd talked about the strange human habit of waiting until everything falls apart before we begin to rebuild. About why we so often ask, why not sooner? I told her how Scout said pain cracks us open, and how Guru P compared karma to compost, that what breaks down becomes the nourishment for what's next. Sophia's eyes softened. That's beautiful, she said. And true, the seed doesn't rush the spring, it breaks open in its own time. I smiled. That's exactly it. We keep thinking we're late to our own awakening, but maybe we're right on schedule. For a while, we just sat there in that golden silence, watching the rain bead and drift down the window pane. The city outside was alive with reflections. People walking under umbrellas, cars splashing through puddles, gulls circling above. Sophia spoke again, quietly. Every time you fall, Luna, remember, it's not punishment, it's a reminder. The universe isn't asking, why did you fall? It's whispering, now that you've fallen, what will you create from here? I nodded, writing those words down immediately. As she rose to leave, she winked. See you at the next round table, Dream Sister. And just like that, she was gone, leaving a trail of calm behind her. I looked around our empty table, a few cups, a napkin with a doodled spiral, the echo of laughter still hanging in the air, and I realized something. Maybe the why not sooner question isn't a regret. Maybe it's gratitude disguised as hindsight. We only ask it when we finally see. So here's what I learned today. We bloom when we're ready. We heal when the lesson ripens. And every fall, every rise, every shared moment, even this quiet after the storm, is sacred.
Please click like and then subscribe. Also share this video with your friends. Thank you.